What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Metalcore
Metalcore Nerds.
I'm your host, Sean Mott, and with me, as always,
Oh, yeah, that's me, the co-host, Bill Cupcake.
dude.
What's up? What's up? Sorry, Sean, I'm actually currently resubbing to you
Oh
on
wow, look at you!
Twitch. That's why I'm like distracted looking at my computer. See, look, there it is
What
on
a
the
guy!
screen, right there.
Oh man, my little thing worked. My little alert. It's the GIF of Hulk saying time travel. My favorite.
Oh, there you go, dude. I love that's a very good, Sean. Sean, you're so smart and quirky when it comes to this stuff. I love it, dude.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
As always, if you're new to Metalcore Nerds, this is the podcast where I take people from the heavy music, the metalcore sphere, and we talk about pop culture. If you're new to this, please follow, subscribe, review, comment, love wherever you are ingesting this form of media. This is sadly, it's the end of our Loki after show because the show has ended.
Yes.
We had a good journey,
But
Joel.
I'm sad because it ended, but I'm not sad because as we both estimated, it was the best Marvel show yet.
Agreed. I agree.
Sean, I'm gonna put something here on the table. I don't know if Marvel's gonna be able to beat this show.
I guess we'll see.
The only thing, What If is kind of different because it's animated, and I could see really cool shit going on in What If, So don't quote me on that. She-Hulk might be a better show in the entertainment value only because we know she's going to be doing like breaking the fourth wall, Deadpool type shit. And I am really stoked for more of the Hulk story, but like, I don't know, man. Loki, dude, it might be the as they say, the GOAT.
You very well may be right there for sure. The only thing, I think Secret Wars is going to be a very big deal. It's going to be a very different type of show because it's very going to be based in, it's going to be like a spy. I was talking to my friend John the other day and I was like, there was that meme going around. There's two types of Marvel properties, and it was Doctor Strange floating in the multiverse and it was Cap wearing a hat. And I was like, yeah, there's going to be like spy shit.
Oh, I saw that, yes.
There's going to be spy shit and then weird magic multiversal space shit. And those are going to be, and I'm like, I also don't
think we've gotten to like the super spy shit, which is what I think Secret Wars is going to be. Like, I think it's going to be that's going to set the bar higher for the spy properties.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be like top tier, like espionage, like super paranoia.
Oh, you used the big word there, John. John, it's not after office hours, so I need you to be careful with those big words, okay?
I'm sorry, my friend. I'm sorry.
I don't like to think when I'm on the clock, Sean. You know that, dude. Like,
fair. But I will say I agree. This has been my favorite. I've loved all of them. If you've listened to the show, I've raved about all of them. I mean, I'm a very easy guy to please, as most anyone who knows me knows. I like a lot of things. I dislike very few. But when I dislike them, I don't really like to shit on them. If you want to talk about it, I'll tell you why I didn't like it. But I don't like to shit on people's art because a lot of people put a lot of work into this shit. That's why I kind of hate like saying things suck. I more of go like, I didn't like it. This is why I didn't like it. But people spent a lot of time and effort into that thing. Not just the actors. The whole fucking crew. It takes a lot to make these things happen. It's crazy. Actually, I wonder if they're going to do they must be doing I haven't watched any of the gallery shows on any of the Disney Plus shows. I'm guessing that one has to come out on Loki.
I watched the one on Mandalorian and it was real tight.
I watched the first season of that and that was amazing. I did not watch the one that came out for the second season. It was like one episode,
I didn't watch that yet either. No.
Yeah. But I watched the first season one. That was awesome.
Yeah, so I only watched it for that, and that was really tight. Like I was a big fan, as they say.
Yes, big fan. Biggest fan. Before we go into Loki talk, which there's a lot to talk about, a lot of stuff that came true that we may or may not have predicted in a way, sort of, but we'll get to that. Before that, I want to talk about Black Widow. We've both seen Black Widow. I will announce this here. we're going to be doing. I don't have a nice graphic made. My mom's in town. I've been doing work on my laptop on the couch, hanging out with her, watching HGTV all week. It's been cool. So I haven't been able. I haven't really done any like podcast graphic stuff, but we're doing a Black Widow spoiler discussion, so it's going to be live. All of the movie discussions have been really cool. People coming in the chat talking, so I hope this one is just the same. And it's going to be next Saturday, the 24th at 2 p.m. Eastern. So I know most of the nerds have seen this movie already, but it gives people some extra time just in case they haven't. But it's going to be me, of course.
You're
go ahead. I like to wait a little. You know, the more people that join in, the better.
You got to give our people the extra time. You know, like
people are busy. It's summer.
They are. That's what I'm saying. I agree.
Yeah.
Also, the movie theater thing is still new, fresh for some people. True. Like some people haven't. I loved it. I was so happy being back in a theater. Mm-hmm. I definitely was like pulling popcorn out of my teeth for like 3 days. But that's fine.
But the guests are going to be Meredith from Victims, Mike, the singer of No Bragging Rights, which is awesome, and a member of this band called The Undertaking. They're a super sick, like early 2000s. I haven't talked to them which member is going to come on. Maybe it'll be two of them in the same screen. We'll see. I know they're like all nerds, so it'll work out. But they're on Solid State, super sick band. So that's going to be a really cool panel.
Very tight, very tight, very tight.
I'm very stoked about it. It's a good. I've gotten some really good panels for these movie discussions. So trying to keep the bar up, trying to keep it going, keep it moving.
That's good. I respect that.
Thank you.
You want good quality content for all your good quality nerds, dude. I get it, dude.
Good quality nerds. I love that.
Dude,
that's great. That is great.
You're welcome. You can use that free of charge, Sean.
You're so kind. So kind.
Dude, you're welcome. Anything for you, brother. Anything for the nerds, dude.
Anything for the nerds. Anything.
From a good quality nerd to a superb quality nerd, Sean. That one's free for you.
Amazing. And I think I might try and launch my new t-shirt next week, maybe. We'll see. For those who know,
if everyone doesn't know what Sean's talking about, it's get ready, dude.
Yeah. About to drop a bomb.
Hold on, let me pull out a classic Joel Cupcake line. Strap in, motherfuckers.
I like that. I kind of want that.
You're not ready for that ride, dude.
I might clip that and use that as a soundbite eventually.
Dude, do it. Strap in, motherfuckers.
It'll be good.
I want to say it a couple more times just to make sure you cap it.
I mean, no, I think I got it. You got it.
Strap in, motherfuckers.
Oh, he ASMR'd it. Great.
Hey, motherfuckers. Strap on in, baby. All right, sorry, I'm done. Okay.
Incredible. Amazing.
Anyways, Black Widow. Sean, Black Widow. What did you think of Black Widow?
What did I think? All right.
Non-spoiler.
Non-spoiler. Yeah, we're not spoiling the movie. No. Just in case you haven't watched it, you can listen to this, not be spoiled. Just our general thoughts. So I also saw in the movie theaters, but I've been going to the movies since the end of last year, so this isn't really the whole movie theater thing hasn't been new to me.
Must be nice.
It was very nice. I'm not gonna lie. Back then, no one was going, so it would just be like Sam and I in a theater, which can't complain. This one, definitely more people. But I know I'm pretty sure it's still not at full capacity. Our theaters, at least, I don't think it was completely full. We saw it on the Thursday night it came out, but it was amazing to see a Marvel movie in a theater. We've all been waiting 2 years, so it's been a while. Been a good while. So, but I love the movie. I thought I posted this on some social medias and stuff. So it's not my favorite Marvel movie of all time, but at this point, it's really hard to get to that point. It's insanely hard. I would say it's probably in the middle of the pack for me overall for Marvel movies, but for solo first movies, it's probably on the top of those. To be honest, it was.
Okay, I would agree.
I know some people are like bummed out about it, which is fine. You don't have to like every movie. I just thought it was a very good entry to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It filled in a lot of gaps for Natasha and some of the lore of what happened between Civil War and Infinity War, which was really cool to me personally. Mm-hmm. And
I know I agree completely.
And if you haven't watched it, stay after the end credits, because boy, does it get me personally stoked. That's all I'm going to say about it. But it did make me teary-eyed and then stoked.
Yes.
Within seconds.
Yes.
Which is a very hard thing to pull off.
I am going to say something about specifically that trailer, or the not the trailer, the post credit scene. It's not going to give away what's in it. Okay,
Good.
no spoilers.
Good.
Well, it's like a very minor spoiler, very extremely minor. Okay, I have to eat my words, and I will publicly do it on your show.
Oh, okay.
And I don't remember if it was on your show or if it was something I said on my show or if it was something I just had in a conversation with someone in passing. So either way, it doesn't matter. I made a wild claim that I, for some reason in my brain, did not believe that Feige would back up his own words. And I did not believe. I think this was on last week's episode. I did not believe that they were going to use the post-credit scenes or anything like that. Like, I thought they were going to do the TV shows injustice, and that, like, because they did that whole announcement where, you know, you don't have to watch the shows, but you should watch the movies.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad to say that this post-credit scene was not what I expected it to be about. Let's just leave it like that. And I was wrong in the direction they took that post-credit scene, and I'm glad I was wrong. 100% glad I was wrong.
I mean, at this point, Marvel, they are the kings of subverting our expectations, giving us what we didn't expect, or giving us... They're very good at reading the fans. Where most of Endgame, they gave us some stuff we've always wanted, and then they gave us stuff we never even thought of wanting. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. That's what they're the best at. So it's hard for me to be like, oh, this movie was pointless, or oh, this movie should have came 5 years ago, or blah 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 blah. Like, the main consensus of people who are negative about this movie are on, or it was a good action movie, but it wasn't a good MCU movie. I don't know. Like, you can have that opinion. You're totally valid to have it. It's just I don't agree. Yeah. I guess I like the opening scene of this movie. 1,000% does not feel like a Marvel movie, but that's what I loved about it. I was like, okay, cool, like, awesome. Like, I was completely, like, just immediately entranced by the movie just because of that opening scene. Because you're like, oh, and I will say, yeah, another thing is that the trailers did an impeccable job of tricking you up to, like, kind of how things were going to go. I mean, yes, we kind of know how this ends up. We know Natasha doesn't die because she dies in Endgame. We know that, of course. But
yes,
there's definitely some, like, Taskmaster is one of the most intimidating villains since maybe Thanos. Every time that character steps on screen, you're like, fuck. Like, we're fucked.
The first time. Okay, so the best way I can explain this is, remember in Civil War, and the first time they face off, I'm sorry, not Civil War, Winter Soldier, the first time they face off, and he catches Cap's shield.
Yes.
And Steve's like, what the fuck? That was the Taskmaster reveal. Same thing. You're like, holy
Very
shit.
Accurate.
Like, from the instant Taskmaster is on screen, holy shit. Like, you know, I loved the movie, Sean. I'm a sucker for good action spy drama, and that's what we got. Yeah. I do think it's a little weird to give it after her character's been killed off. I do think but it was a proper send off for Scarlet. I think it's fair. I think my only complaint would have been, I wish it came out where it fit in the timeline, just because it would have been more badass that way. But that's not a real complaint, because I still loved the movie. I thought it was done well. Man, like, anybody listening to this episode, if you grew up and you're like me, where you're a sucker, and anytime there's a 007 movie on, you will watch it, you will love this film.
Yeah. It is very 007.
There's a couple scenes. There's a couple scenes, one in specific that I will not drop here. I will tell Sean what it is later, and he can bring it up if he so desires. That is just like, I was like, I'm watching an amazing spy, like, drama right now. That's what I felt like I was watching. Like, who cares if it's an MCU property or not? Like, they did a great job. The movie looked phenomenal. The soundtrack was great. The storytelling was fucking perfect. You know, like, I watched it twice in 24 hours, so that should tell everybody something.
Yeah, there's also a lot of details that bookend the movie and are callbacks to past MCU moments as well that I feel like a lot of people are overlooking, and there's some even went over my head. But if you go watch this movie and then go watch like the new Rockstars breakdown, I really think it'll bring a new appreciation for the movie to kind of see some of the details that the creators of this movie obviously cared enough to put in it. And I think a lot of people are missing that and be like, oh, this is a really weird MCU movie or whatever. And I don't know, like some of the details they put in this movie are wild callbacks. Like,
well, dude, there's one
that's more wild than like anything in Endgame. I think if I had to compare it to a callback in Endgame, that's like very like you'll miss it in a second, is that Black Panther calls Hawkeye Clint in the movie, when in Civil War when they meet, he goes, "My name's Clint," and then T'Challa says, "I don't care." Like that's like one of my favorite callbacks in Endgame. But like a lot of people are like, "Oh, I didn't even notice that." One of those kind of callbacks are in this movie, and it's a big part of the movie.
We're gonna have to talk about that after, because I want to know what you're talking about. But
it's basically it's based. So when they fought in the airport scene in Civil War, that's when Hawkeye first shows up because he's on Team Cap.
No, I'm talking about the scene in Black Widow. You mean?
Oh, I told you about it. It's the one that has to do with the scene in Avengers.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I was gonna bring up. There's some cool voice lines that nod back as well, but I think we're talking about the same thing now. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah. So, anyways, back to the non-spoiler review. Great spy movie. Great action movie. Scarlett Johansson is outshined by her co-stars, but I think that's okay. She truly understands pushing the franchise forward. She truly gets it. Maybe more than the rest of the guys that are like, honestly, like she literally did a movie designed to literally push the rest of the universe forward and send off her character at the same time. You know, like sure. I think it was beautiful. The new characters we got introduced to, I hope to see more of in the MCU. David Harbour as Red Guardian is
incredible.
Perfection is what I would say. Like, if we don't see him again, like nothing. Marvel hasn't done anything that makes me want to like just tell them to go F off. You know what I mean? Yeah. But if they don't give us more Red Guardian, I will tell them to go fuck off. Like,
yeah, 100%. I really hope he comes back. I don't know where he would really fit in, but I hope he does come back eventually.
Dude, even if it's like Secret Wars, or he's, even if he's like been doing, C budget Avengers shit the whole time, and then like eventually it comes to like, who cares? Like, I love it. Like maybe who knows? But I would love to see it. I know we talked about it last week. What was that old? There was like the Russian Avengers, right? And then there was also like a European team.
Yep.
He was on both teams at one point in time. So maybe we will get some sort of cool tie-in eventually.
Very
like
possible.
His character was hilarious, dude. And
so great, dude.
Florence, as everyone said from all the reviews, and if you haven't paid attention, Florence actually killed her role. Killed it.
Demolished.
Killed it. I'm so ready, like, for her to be the next Black Widow. And I also love that it looks like, from a story perspective, it's not an instant transition. And I think that's really cool. Like, we're going to get more story with her before there's this whole, like, it wasn't just like, she's not just going to show up as the new Black Widow next time we see her.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, definitely not. If you've seen the movie, you know what you mean.
Yeah.
But short story, go see Black Widow. I thought it was great. Yep. In my overall ranking, it's pretty high up there. Like, for me, my personal favorite Marvel movie is Thor Ragnarok. Like, it's the perfect mix of like awesome cinematography, awesome storytelling, fucking amazing humor. Like, I don't know. Nothing will beat that movie to me. But as far as like the more actiony ones, this is definitely up there on the list for me. Like, this, Winter Soldier, and freaking Endgame are probably like, that's where it is for me.
Yeah. For me, it'd be like in the middle somewhere. It's like my top ones are like Endgame, Winter Soldier, Infinity War, Guardians, Iron Man 1. I think Loki might be my top 5. Not even joking.
Oh, honestly, you're gonna be unhappy with me for saying this, but Marvel properties for me right now, straight up, is Ragnarok is 1 and Loki is 2. I'll put Loki number 2 on the list, dude.
Wow. I think it'd be my number 5. Ragnarok is a little down further, not because I don't love it. I think that movie's amazing. It just it kind of is. The only thing I don't like about that movie is that they shy away from a lot of stuff that should have been kind of big emotional beats that they kind of just ignore.
Well, it was a filler movie. Like other than Thor lose. Well, it wasn't, but okay, so let me finish. It wasn't, but other than Asgard being destroyed, Thor losing Mjolnir and his eye, like it literally has nothing to do with all the shit that goes on in Infinity War and Endgame. Like,
I mean, that's where it's the bridge to Infinity War, because that's where Infinity War starts, on the ship.
I understand that, but like without that, without that ship scene, you know what I mean? I'm saying everything else, like Hela's not mentioned by the Avengers, blah blah blah. Like the Avengers don't even ask what happened to Odin, etc. I'm just saying, like, I consider it more of a, like, it's part of the story, but it's more of a standalone film to me.
Yeah, I mean, even with that though, that my complaints would actually be more prevalent. It's more of just like the Warriors 3 dead.
Oh yeah.
Not even brought up.
Yeah.
Those are his best friends.
Well, I will say, like, and then the whole glossing over of Jane, like, that was honestly her not wanting to do with another Thor movie or whatever. It was a contract dispute. I don't know what it was. I don't remember. You might know. Like, that was a really big fumble, in my opinion.
I don't think they needed her in that one.
I don't think they needed her, but still, like, the fact that they just like, oh, she's being protected in the first Avengers movie. You know what I mean? And then that was it.
Well, they kind of explained it in Endgame. You know what I mean? They were like, oh, we broke up. Or I think it was even before that. I can't remember. There was like a mention of like, oh, I broke up with her rather than she broke up with me, kind of thing. Because we don't even know if she got like dusted or anything, which she could have. I don't really know.
Dusted, dude. But anyways, Sean.
She could have got dusted.
Sean, I think there's enough of us being off subject, as we always are. I think it's time, Sean. Okay, Loki. Everybody, we're doing something a little different today. I'm hijacking Sean's show officially.
Kind of.
You had to. I was like gonna go on this awesome promo, Sean, and then you just like, here, let me just smack you right across the face real quick. Like, you know what I mean?
Dude, I'm wearing my TVA jacket today, so I gotta lay down some authority.
Oh, you know what? You're right. You do. Well, you know what, Sean? That brings us to my first question. Everybody, instead of a just breakdown, scene by scene breakdown,
I just want to say spoiler warning. I know we forget to say it sometimes, but I write it in the title. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
That's two.
Sorry.
That's two.
I'm sorry.
Two.
I'm sorry.
Spoiler warnings are incoming, and instead of just recapping the episode, Sean and I have some mutually agreed upon points, questions that I'm going to ask Sean, and they will eventually recap the episode in its entirety. So that is the format. I think this is going to be more fun for me, and I'm the co-host, so I'm who matters. So, anyways, Sean, my man, Mr. Sean Mott, Metalcore Mephisto. The cupcake in this just has his first question for you. Are you ready?
Yes. Oh, wait, actually, before the first question, I did want to point out, I'm not going to go through it all because it's actually insanity. But the opening crawl with the added dialogue from Marvel movies, and that opening scene with kind of like stuff from like Nelson Mandela and Greta Thunberg and a bunch of other people. New Rockstars broke down every single voice. So go watch that, because they did an insanely amazing job. So if you want to hear where all the voices came from, there's even a cry in it that they found out was Loki's cry when Odin found him as a frost giant baby. That's how crazy their breakdown is. So go watch that.
Wow. I didn't
even think about it until they pointed it out.
If you haven't watched Loki yet, for some reason, there is a whole new intro at the beginning. I loved it. Also, Sean, forgive me if I haven't been paying attention to the other ones. I did notice that, when the Marvel turns, it flickers through all the characters, I noticed it in Black Widow too. the last character they show is Black Panther. That's where it flips up. I loved that. Like, that was just
my heart.
Give it to me. Yeah, my heart. Anyways, Sean, Loki, the last episode.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to say that because this is really cool. Go watch that video after you watch this. I'm insane.
We finally figured it out, Sean. Who was behind the TVA? Let the people know.
All right, so the Kang train has left the station, motherfuckers. That's all I got. Well, it's not all I got to say. I have a lot to say. But we said it from episode 1. We doubted ourselves last episode. We said, there's no way we're going to get Mephisto'd again. Like, there's no way they're going to bring Kang in. It's just going to be another Loki. They even fucking tricked us with trailer footage that never showed up in the show, just like they did with Infinity War, just like they did with Endgame. Marvel up to their fucking tomfoolery again. But they go to the TV. They find the Citadel as we left off in episode 5. They approach it. They go in. It's
called the Citadel at the end of time.
Correct? Yes. They get a crazy jump scare by Miss Minutes, which is... I love that they put that in. It was ridiculous. Like, they're going to scare you with a cartoon fucking
Sean,
clock.
as I said when I texted you, Sean, fuck that clock. I don't trust her. She's still up to no good. I still don't trust her.
Definitely up to no good. Agreed. Completely agreed. Miss Minutes explains to them that he has a deal for them. They ask who he is. She reveals that is He Who Remains, which we said we will likely see a version of. Whoever it ended up actually being, they would be called He Who Remains, who is in the comics who created the TVA, which that was correct. Very cool. She says he has a deal for them. They'll put you back in the timeline. You can defeat the Avengers. You can have the Infinity Gauntlet. You can have the Throne of Asgard, and you can do it all with Sylvie at your side. Sylvie is not about it, said this is all fiction. We want to see who's behind all this stuff. We write our own destiny. They go to this door, and also there's three statues, which I'm guessing were represented the Timekeepers. There is a 4th statue that is knocked down. In the comics, there was a 4th Timekeeper that got like exiled or whatever. I don't know if that's just a cool visual detail or something will be revealed later.
I'm assuming it's a detail, or it was. Probably. I think it might have been there was a female involved in the group.
Possibly.
And I think Renslayer got jealous and destroyed that statue.
Maybe. It's very possible. But it is
just
revealed
go on.
That He Who Remains is Jonathan Majors himself playing a variant of Kang the Conqueror. They fucking did it. As soon as he popped up on screen, I was
Sean?
like...
Yep. Sean, I didn't think they were going to do it.
I didn't either, man. I know.
And I was... You know what? I feel like the MCU should just write wrestling. Because it's like, for once, they gave the fans what they wanted. Like, 100%. Like, no bullshit. Well, maybe not 100%. But, hey, everything's been nodding towards Kang. And that's technically who we got.
In a way, yes. I know
his name is never actually said, which is something I thought was a very unique talking point.
Yes, I will say, for people who didn't enjoy this episode, if we talked about the nerd bubble last week, if you're outside of the nerd bubble, I completely understand this episode being the most confusing thing you've probably ever watched in your entire life. They held no fucking hands. They just gave you everything at once. To me, it was incredible. I was like, this is anything I could have ever dreamed of in a Marvel episode, in a Marvel anything. I was like, fuck yes, this is all I've ever wanted. To anyone who doesn't pay attention to this stuff, like, I rewatched episodes 4 through 6 with Sam, and I was like, I'm going to need to explain the finale to you. And she's like, I believe it. And then after, she was like, okay, so what the fuck was all of that? She had no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Even Joey Lanzalato, who has been a guest on the show, we talk about Marvel stuff as well. He listened to last week's episode and said that he heard me talking about Jonathan Majors, how he was cast. And it makes perfect sense why they announced he was cast as Kang the Conqueror in Ant-Man Quantumania, because if he just showed up, we would have had no fucking clue, just like most people. Because when he first showed up, he's like, wait, who is this guy? Because he didn't know what Jonathan Majors looked like. And then once he said, like, the Conqueror, he's like, oh, this must be Jonathan Majors. Sean was talking about Jonathan Majors, which is super cool that I kind of helped him realize that in a way. So shout out to Joey, awesome dude. So yes, I can totally understand if you know nothing about this stuff, this being the most confusing 40 minutes of your life. Pretty much, because they just dump a whole bunch of fucking knowledge on you that if you're not obsessing over this stuff, you definitely have no idea what the fuck is happening.
Yeah, I to be fair, the night before, well, Monday night technically, I stayed up till like 1 a.m. reading like the largest wiki whatever article I could find on Kang. And I didn't, you know what, Sean? It was so long. I spent 45 minutes reading it and was halfway through the scroll bar.
Oh yeah, dude.
On my phone, and I was like, I'm just not gonna finish this. I think I learned enough, you know.
And he was.
So
I will say that he was wearing a Mortis like comic like a Mortis gear, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, it was so smart them introducing a Mortis rather than Kang the Conqueror." I don't think this was a Mortis. I know you guys want to like be like, "Oh, it was a Mortis because a Mortis what helped the TVA in the comics." And again, the comics don't really matter to anything. They're going to do stuff that nods to it, that pays homage to it, but they do not take things verbatim from the comics. That they never will, and they shouldn't, because then we would know exactly what the fuck is coming, and no one wants that. No one wants.
I saw an article that I forgot to send you again, Sean. I know I'm terrible. That they were saying it all makes sense why we haven't seen trailers for Far From Home yet, because because you needed what happened in this episode to happen for all of the shit that's coming. Like, I think the only thing that's not going to be affected by this is the Hawkeye show. I think everything else coming, especially movie wise, is all going to be very affected by this shit.
Yeah. I don't know if Shang-Chi might still. It depends when that takes place. Same with Eternals, but I have a feeling this might be why the Eternals never stepped in until now. Very possible.
Good point.
Maybe. I don't know, obviously, but it could be a very big thing to why they are finally going out in the open and interfering in Earth's affairs. It could be that definitely.
Well, it also seems like Eternals. Maybe something that happened with the multiverse. Someone knew who the Eternals were, and I think they come there, and I think because it seems like they're doing the Black Knight storyline where, you know, Rob Stark doesn't know he is an Eternal, and he's been like put to sleep, and he's been locked in his own brain and given the blade and kind of tasked with hunting the other Eternals. So maybe that has to do with some fallout from the multiverse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I think even in the comics he's just a dude, but then the blade gives him powers. I think.
Well, there's that, but what I just said, kind of like the leaked synopsis I read for the movie, is that he's actually like one of the Eternals, but doesn't know it, and he's being forced to work against them. Like, so who knows? But I mean, that's all speculation, obviously.
Of course. Let's get to this. The next question. I think we answered all of that of who was behind the TVA. We have more to answer of what's to come. Of course.
Don't worry.
There's a lot. Sean, we'll get there.
Sean, my favorite character in the show is fucking Mobius. What happened to him, Sean? Lay it on us.
As we saw in the last episode, he hopped through a time door. As you expected, he showed back up in the TVA. Important to note, we go to Renslayer's office and we see Miss Minute showing up, and she's like, "Where were you?" And that's when she was talking to Sylvie and Loki in the Citadel End of Time. So Miss Minutes is like a singular being, whatever that being might be. If it's like AI part human or whatever the fuck Miss Minutes is, it can only be in one place at one time, which is a very interesting bit of information, I think.
Well, I think I have a theory about her, but it won't. I can't talk about it till after we get down our list of subjects.
Fair enough. So Miss Minute shows up, and she's still downloading the files on all of the End of Time and the beginning of the TVA and everything like that, like she asked for last episode. And Miss Minute comes and goes. She opens her TemPad with the files downloaded, and she says, "This isn't what I was looking for." And Miss Minute says, "He thinks this would be better." And she says, "Who?" So she is not aware of He Who Remains, or maybe she did at one time. But it's very interesting to see what was actually in those files. Because then Mobius comes in and she tries to call one of the hunters to come take him down. And Mobius reveals that he has let everyone else know that they're all variants. And they prove that by B-15 going to 2018 in Fremont, Ohio. And they're at the FDR high school where she had the pen from the whole series. And we find out that she is a principal.
Which I never caught that, by the way.
Oh, really?
I never caught that.
Oh, wow.
I caught them looking at the pen, but I never just like took the time to pause and read what it said.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So yeah, they're at the high school, and Hunter B-15 reveals to the other Hunter, and a variant of Judge Renslayer comes out, who's the principal of this high school. Her diploma's on the back of the wall, and her name on it is actually Rebecca Terminant, which was a alias of Ravonna Renslayer in the comics. Cool little attention to detail there. So obviously the jig is up. Everyone knows that they're all variants in the TVA. They were not born to serve this glorious purpose of the TVA. So it sheds a little light on it. Renslayer opens up a time door, about to walk out. Mobius tries to stop her, fails miserably. He gets his ass fucking handed to him. And
I love when he's laying there and he's like, oh, here we are again.
I was like, damn, she just fucking kicked his ass. Yeah. All right. And she says she's in search of free will and walks out the time door. It's all we see of her the whole episode. Even not all of Mobius, but mostly all we see of Mobius this whole episode.
Yeah.
So
it's crazy.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see where they go with the whole Ravonna thing here on out. You know what I mean? Like where she's going.
I wonder if we're gonna get her in the movies. I wonder, like where is she gonna be like the mystery help that they eventually get with this time travel nonsense?
It's very possible.
The other thing is like obviously Miss Minutes knows where she went and what she's up to.
Mm-hmm.
So that's also curiouser as the saying goes.
Is that a saying?
Yeah, it's from one of those witch movies, dude. I don't know.
Okay.
Karina watches a lot of movie about magic, so I don't know. I've definitely heard it multiple times in the apartment.
I've definitely heard it multiple times. That's fun.
You can Google it if you want. Or
I believe you. I wasn't aware of it personally.
Yeah,
I believe.
Yes. well, Sean. So after this happens, they're sitting down, and this man at the end of time explains the purpose of the TVA. Sean, what was that?
So yes, and I have been harping on this since we found out that they were all variants. This whole after show, I was like, what the fuck was the point of the TVA? And they gave it to me. This He Who Remains, this variant of Kang, reveals that a variant of him in the 31st century discovered the multiverse. I must say, this past week has made me very happy in being... There's a Phase 4 and Beyond episode I did with Dylan from Weeping Wound where I talked about a lot of this stuff happening.
Yes.
And the fact that some of this stuff is happening now just makes me proud, I guess, for being a nerd or whatever. I don't know. But a lot of the stuff I've been talking about is starting to come to fruition, which is very awesome. But he explained there's a multiverse. He visualized it as universes stacked on top of each other. And at the same time that he discovered the multiverse, other variants of himself also discovered the multiverse. So they started to help each other, and you see them. He visualizes them creating the time doors, creating the reset charges, creating the pruning sticks that we've seen throughout the series. We see them all like collaborating and making all this technology that we do see, or that we have seen through the series. And
yes.
Then he reveals that some of these variants of himself just wanted to take over. He also revealed that he did say in a bit of dialogue that, he's like, some people have called me a ruler, a conqueror, which, insert Leo pointing at the TV meme for sure for that one.
Yes. No.
Of course. They said there was a war. There was a multiversal war between all of these variants of Kang. Like we said, they didn't really say his name, so I don't know if it's like they're all variants of Kang or Kang is a variant of... Well, I'm very interested to see if they do end up being Nathaniel Richards who discovered the multiverse, and then all of these are variants of Nathaniel Richards. or if they're going to do someone else, because they could easily do someone else. Like we've said, the comics aren't law. They just take from them. So
well, we still didn't get revealed to us where the TVA is. So we still don't know how the quantum realm does or doesn't tie in. We still don't know what the city we saw in fucking Ant-Man and the Wasp was. We don't know any of that. So location is still a giant question mark. They don't even really explain where the Citadel at the end of time is.
It's in the middle of the flow of time. So
I know, but I'm saying like there's no like, but is that something that is considered quantum space because time doesn't exist? You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of weird technicalities that probably won't ever get explained.
No,
because some of it is just too science. Some of it is just too. Some of it is too high IQ bullshit.
yeah. It's way too much to explain within dialogue of characters in this universe. They did say they're in a space. They're in a space that's null of like space and time. So I think they just exist in a pocket that is that. You know, it's outside of the realm of time and space. And
one thing that I thought was cool for this sequence, Sean, when they were explaining everything, is remember when they initially revealed the Citadel at the end of the last episode, I said it looked like the quantum realm because of the light in the background. I know I saw some stuff online where it almost looked like people thought that the wall, which we know is the ring of time, the wall like where the space met the ring, it almost looked like it was being created or destroyed as you're watching because it's the end of time. I saw some cool stuff online about that. Everyone, when they explain it, the Citadel is literally in the middle of a ring of light, and the ring of light is the sacred timeline.
Yes. Yep. And there was that one GIF I sent you that it was a picture of the Citadel of Time and then a picture of Doctor Strange floating in Doctor Strange when the Ancient One tapped his forehead.
Oh,
saying
yes.
that like, hey, he was like floating in the void of time, which is crazy to even think about.
Just another insane callback that they've been doing.
Yep. Oh yeah. He did say that eventually he was able to isolate this timeline. So the whole point of the TVA was so that these Nexus events didn't cause the branches to intersect with the other universes in the multiverse. He's done this to keep this universe secluded from all the other ones.
Yeah, so there is a multiverse, everyone. Sean has been saying this. There is a multiverse.
Vindication.
The prime timeline, as I like to call it. Sorry, Sean, I'm going to continue to use that.
I like it.
Has been removed. And so, like, he's literally, so like, in a way, he is Immortus. But I don't think he is. I think it's like, this is after Immortus, because if you go by the comics, Immortus actually worked for the TVA to make, but from what I gathered from everything I read is that Immortus works with the TVA to make sure Kang does what he's supposed to do, so he becomes Immortus because they think they're keeping the timeline safe. Technically, this entity would be after that.
Yeah,
because instead of working for the TVA, he created of course, the origin story is going to be different, of course.
And that's another thing that's super interesting that I love that they changed is that Kang exists and the other versions of Kang in the comics existed because they were just from different sections of time. And this is just like, no, there's infinite versions of him from the different
They're all variants of
universes.
Each other.
Yeah, which is super cool that they changed that up because it really makes him more dangerous. You know what I mean?
Because there's literally an army of Kangs, but it's just one per universe, but still, like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like I said, the multiverse exists. The sacred timeline was secluded, or the prime timeline was secluded, so it didn't fold off. I saw some people posting when stuff started branching out, which we are going to get to for sure, that like, oh, this branching off is like the X-Men universe and this branching off is like the Raimi universe. And I don't think that is true. I think more of the branching off of the sacred timeline would be kind of
thinking too much.
I think that's kind of more of like what If is doing and like what Thanos did going from 2014 to the future and like what Cap did going to the past and Gamora going from her timeline to the current timeline. I think that's more of what the branches, and then the other ones on top are going to be like Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and then the Fox X-Men universe if they ever bring anyone in from that. Like they're all kind of the universe stacked on top of each other. But yes, let's get to the next part, because the next part is also a very big
before
deal.
we go there, before we go to that next part, I will say I think I'm just curious for our own sanity's sake. To me, I envision it, Sean, as like, so when instead of it creating a new reality, I think what's actually going on is, and I'm assuming this will be explained somewhere down the line, is because like Strange and the previous Sorcerer Supreme and Kang and the TVA seem to look at time differently, and like the multiverse thing differently. What I'm assuming happening is, if enough things in the Prime universe start to look like another universe, that's when it punches a hole into it, and then they realize that we exist because Kang is protecting it and keeping it secluded, right? So instead of it making our own multiverses in the Prime timeline, it's technically the Prime timeline breaking into the other multiverses. That's to me in my head. That's how I'm looking at it.
That's kind of what I said, but you simplified it a bit.
Well, I'm not as smart as you, so that's completely okay.
Like, no, I'm not calling you dumb.
No, you're not. No, you're not. I'm saying like to me, that's just how.
Yeah, it was more of like me saying that like all the stuff in What If, that's a branch coming off the sacred timeline, kind of like how. And the thing about Loki is that I think without them saying they're Nexus beings, I think they are Nexus beings, because they create all these Nexus events that will create these branches. So these branches are what kind of merged with these other universes, and that's how I think that's how the bridges are going to be from how everything's going to start melding together, is that the branches are going to start going to the other branches, and it's going to be this crazy connected tree. It's not, didn't mean the branches created a multiverse. It was more of just their branches off this universe that help connect to the other universes, I guess. If that does that make more sense?
Yeah, so we're on the same page.
Yeah. Yeah, as you were saying, I was like, so that's exactly what I meant. Kind of. I might have explained it poorly though.
So I think this is the most important question, John. This is the hot topic debate between you and me. I am not going to ask the question you want me to ask.
Okay, all right. You
want me to ask what someone did, and I'm not going to ask you what she did. I'm going to ask you why the female Loki, I will not use her name because she is rude and she broke a lot of hearts. What did the female Loki variant, I don't care if you use her name, I will not utter her name this episode. What did she do, Sean?
Well, He Who Remains offers them kind of the same thing that Miss Minutes offered before. Take over my job. Be the rulers of the TVA. Keep this going. He said this can go either of two ways. He also revealed that he knew exactly how it was going to go. He wrote everything that came before them. He knew exactly what they're going to do. That's how he was able to dodge all of Sylvie's attacks earlier on, because he knew exactly what was going to happen and how it was going to happen.
Which was actually a flashback to the first episode, because this, even though it was in a bounded book form, the stack of papers he pulls out looks exactly like the shit he makes them sign. Oh, is this everything you've ever said?
Yep, exactly.
It looked exactly like the same type of paperwork, which I thought was cool for the show to nod back to itself. Continue. Sorry.
Exactly. No, you're fine. That was a great callback for sure. And I don't think he ever intended to let them take over. I think he did this to tear them apart and make them go at each other. I think he knew he was always going to meet his demise at this point. So he even goes like, "Can you trust this, Loki?" And he says, "Have you ever trusted anyone?" And she goes to kill him, and Loki stops her. And this is the very interesting part to me. Loki at this point, like I said last episode or the episode before, he has been redeemed and grew more than we've ever seen him. More than in Ragnarok, more than Infinity War. He is a completely different person. 1,000%. He realizes that all the stuff he wanted is utterly pointless, and he found something he cared about in this world. like actual connections with people. He's done stabbing people in the back and pushing people away who care about him. He wants to bring them closer. That's why,
Yes.
he called Mobius his friend. And during this fight, it's not even Loki versus Sylvie. It's just Loki trying to stop Sylvie because
from killing
He Who Remains. Because He Who Remains says, hey, if you think I'm bad, there's an infinite number of me that are even worse, which include Kang the Conqueror and Immortus and whoever the fuck else Marvel creates to throw at us, pretty much. And he's like, you kill me, you're going to unleash all of them. And Loki believes him. Loki's like, let's think about this. Like, I think he's telling the truth. Like, yes, the TVA is bad. Yes, the TVA took away your life, took away my future, I guess, because he knew he was going to die anyway. But, it's like taking away free will from people, plucking people out of their timelines and making them work this desk job and everything like that. But the bad is worse than that.
Yeah.
Complete chaos.
Well, yeah, and I really liked, I forget what the exact line was, but he was like, she's like, he's been lying this whole time, and he's like, yes, he has, but I think on this one thing he's not. I think he is telling the truth. He's like, because I would tell the truth in that case too. Like if someone came to stop me, but I knew there was something worse, he's like, it's basically like implied, like if I wasn't gonna be a Loki, this is the time in the conversation I wouldn't be a Loki. And so that's what he's going off, which I thought was a really cool reveal, that he is still basically admitting he's a Loki, but he also is like, there is more in people, and I'm choosing to see more in this guy right now.
Yeah, and as they're fighting, the timeline is starting to branch off. He even brings it up. He's like, we're branching. It's going. Like it's happening. And I must say, we haven't really talked about this a lot, but Jonathan Majors, in this 30 to 40 minutes we had with him, was easily one of the most captivating things I've seen in a long time. He was unbelievable, incredible. I've seen him in Lovecraft Country. I've seen him in Defy Bloods, but this is the start of Jonathan Majors becoming a household name, becoming a super fucking star, and the dude deserves it tenfold. He was, as soon as he stepped on the screen, I was like, this dude is just oozing charisma, and he made such an interesting villain. Like, not like a villain that we've really seen before.
But he's not, that's the thing, is like, I agree with you completely, but he's not really like you get used to the villains, or you have people with schemes, or you have Loki, who's like the trickster god, shit like that, right? This guy is like you don't even know if he is a villain. You're so captivated, like he's just like this quirky, like smartass, all-knowing person. Like you don't even really know if he's good or bad. You're just assuming he's good because of the Loki viewpoints. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I even said it to my friend. I was like, he wasn't really good or bad. It's like, yeah, like I said, kind of said what you said. He's not really good or bad. He's more of both at the same time, because he is probably going to be the most benevolent version of this variant we ever see.
Yeah,
1,000%. But he
definitely
isn't good either.
Both of those statements are correct, Sean. Yes, you're right.
And then Loki does. I love the like we've talked about the magic usage, and we saw a bunch of it in this. Loki using his telepathy to move Sylvie, and then he teleports himself, which I think he didn't really use before, and I think he took that from Classic Loki. Took a little trick out of Classic Loki's book and did a little teleport action, and he said, "Hey, just think about this." He's like, and she's like, "You just want your throne, you just want to rule," and he's like, "I don't care about ruling, I don't care about a throne, I just care about you being okay," which again adds to my point of how this Loki, all he ever cared about was himself.
Mm-hmm.
Always. Yeah. And now he's directly saying, I just care that you're okay. That's all I want.
Which is incredible.
It was amazing. And then Sylvie kisses him, opens up a time door, kicks him out, and breaks all of our hearts.
I'm going to go on record and just say, fuck her. There we go. I had to say it again.
I understand, because
she's like rehashing my tears, Sean. You're rehashing my tears, Sean.
I get it. And like I said before, this was a Star-Lord and Infinity War moment. She let her emotions get the best of her. Her ultimate goal was to kill the person that took away her life. And she achieved that goal. Mm-hmm. She kills he who remains. And I don't fault her for this. Just like I didn't fault if I was in Star-Lord's shoes and her crazy fake dad killed my girlfriend, I would have fucking punched him in the face too. Just saying. I think if any of us were in that position, we probably would have done the same thing.
Did you say killed my fake girlfriend? Is that what you just said?
No, his fake dad, because it wasn't really her dad.
Fake dad. I thought you said fake girlfriend, and I was like, well, they weren't fully united. Yeah, you're right. That's a fair, but like,
they were definitely something.
No, yeah, I thought you said girlfriend, not fake dad. It just made me chuckle.
If I did say fake girlfriend, my bad. I misspoke. But
everyone that watches the show knows I live on my own planet by now. I would hope so.
And so she kills he remains. He says, "See you soon," and winks at her. Again, leading to Kang,
which is like the best send off ever, dude.
So good,
best, like just like
incredible.
Like he wasn't evil or menacing the whole time. He was just mystery. Like that's what he is, dude. He's just a giant, and he's a fucking living enigma, bro. That's what he was the whole time, which is what I find so intriguing. We have not seen a Marvel villain like this yet.
Definitely not. And
the closest thing we saw was Loki.
Yeah,
and this dude just made Loki look like a fucking child. Like,
yeah, dude, 100%. Like, obviously, this guy is insanely powerful, and we haven't even scratched the surface on him yet. You know what I mean? Like, we're not even there yet. And I do love that someone compared him to kind of like an eccentric, like tech startup, like CEO. And I was like, I can see that. Okay, I can see that for sure, because he's like super, obviously, insanely smart. Eccentric, like very like just like what you're saying, like he's so different and weird, and I loved it. So fucking weird.
Yeah,
he was a big old weirdo. And we see Loki in the TVA sitting alone, and I told you when I was rewatching 4 through 6, episode 4 is when he got stuck in that time loop with Lady Sif saying you're alone and you'll always be alone. And let me tell you, after I watched the finale and then watched that episode, I was like, that line hit real hard. Real hard.
Dude. So yeah, Sean, Loki does end up back in the TVA. And he is alone. And what happens? How is it? Where is Loki in the TVA? What happens to him, Sean?
So Loki runs through TVA. He runs through a bunch of hunters who don't seem to care about him, but with the full scale branching of what's going on, it was understandable at the time.
Yes.
He's running through like the library and everything that we've seen before, and then he comes to Mobius saying like, talking to Her 15, like, how do we fix this? How like everything she mentioned, I think 62 branch timelines in this one unit. So that's just 62 branch realities in just that one spot that they're talking about, which is fucking crazy. And Loki says, there's nothing we can do. There's a super evil person coming. There's an infinite number of them, and we can't stop him. We gotta figure out what we can do to try and fight against him. And then Mobius says, you're an analyst, figure it out. And I thought it was him just giving him a pep talk. And then he goes, who are you? I don't even know who you are. And this is the interesting part, because to me, I immediately thought, oh, this is just an alternate timeline. He went to an alternate universe, and like I talked about before, He Who Remains said like they built this technology together. It would kind of make sense that another one would have thought to build the TVA, and they did the kind of the same thing. But Eric Fawcett, New Rockstar, is brought up, which is super interesting. And either way, it is very cool and works for me. Is that Renslayer going through that time door and possibly working with a variant of Kang, maybe Kang the Conqueror himself. Because as we see with the statue, it is straight up Kang, or a version of Kang. Like, it's Jonathan Majors. But the armor looks like Kang's armor. So it could very well be Kang running his own TVA. Renslayer could have went to another reality, and she's helping rule this TVA with Kang. They could have just rewrote a timeline that's already branching off, or something like that. It could not even be another universe. It could just be a branched timeline, which is a little different and kind of gets confusing. But like how we were talking about it, you know what I mean? It could just be a branch off the prime timeline rather than an alternate.
I don't think it's. So in my head, is in one of two places with this. It's either because they killed Kang and there was no one protecting or controlling the timeline. Either another Kang came and took over.
Yes.
Or the person that has taken over is now not the innocent, not the good Kang at the end of time. It's a bad not. Kang.
Yeah.
But what I'm also thinking is, okay, Renslayer knows how to control her timeline, right? When Sylvie sent Loki through a door, she picked up Kang's time device, which looked completely different.
Yep.
And obviously was able to do more things than the regular Timekeeper's TemPads and stuff. Of
course, yeah.
So I think that it's more of a hope. I don't think that that's our Mobius.
Oh, I don't think so either.
You're right. I think Loki got sent somewhere else, and what's going to happen is Sylvie is going to become overcome with grief, and something's going to happen, and she's going to go fucking look for him.
Yeah,
and then she's going to end up in the multiverse she's going to end up in is like, this is what. So the multiverse that they're in is going to be the Kang. What happens when Kang is full-blown King the Conqueror and has won and controls everything? And then she's going to be like, fuck, I killed the wrong one or something like that.
Yeah, like,
and
Loki was right.
Yeah, in theory, we'll get back to our Mobius. And our Mobius is hopefully figuring it all out and trying to positively run the I don't think the TVA is going away. I think Mobius and the TVA, I think what I'm hoping is we get a TVA versus TVA showdown. And it just gets completely out of hand. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would like that. That'd be tight. Because, when she opened the time door, I don't think she had any idea where she was sending him. Because, like, how the fuck would she know how to work that thing? You know what I mean?
Yeah, she's just like back to the. Maybe she knew the TVA. She
thought it was the other TVA,
and that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, I feel like maybe it is our TVA and the timeline's just been reset and they don't want to go do too much crazy like loophole details. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Who knows? Everyone, we kind of skipped ahead. There is no after credit scene. The only after credit scene is just that Loki will return in Loki season 2. So they said that. I kind of jumped the gun a little bit. I apologize for that spoiler.
If they knew this already watching the episode, they knew that was happening. You know what I mean? Like that was immediately on every news.
Yeah.
Like news source, like nerd news source that Loki was confirmed for a season 2, which I think is kind of shitty that they just like immediately were like Loki's for season 2. Like I get it, they're news sources, but it's really a spoiler if you think about it.
But to be fair, us not knowing until the last episode, like that's a really good job of keeping that on the DL for Marvel.
I mean, normally, it was a rumor.
Normally it's like episode 2 of a show. You already know if it's coming another season or not.
True. Very true.
So I do agree with you, but in the world we live in, I'll still take it,
Oh, yeah. I mean, you know me. I stay off the internet until I watch it. So
here on Earth Prime, Sean,
The interesting thing about season 2, which I really think is going to happen, is that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania is coming out, I think, spring 2023. So I do think that Loki season 2 is going to come out before that, and it could be a big exploration on Kang before he comes back again in Quantumania. I do think he'll probably be referenced, or some weird kind of like nods to him will definitely happen in these next movies. Whether I know a big
you sent me that article about Loki appearing in Doctor Strange.
Yes, that is a rumor, but THR reported it, so it's likely that will happen for sure. And I do think that in Spider-Man No Way Home, Avengers Tower could be revealed as Kang Tower, and another variant of Kang bought that tower because in Far From Home, it already looked like someone moved in. He swung through it. It definitely looked like people moved in. It was inhabited by someone. A lot of people thought it could be the Baxter Building for Fantastic Four. Some other people thought it could have been Oscorp. But Kang could be the answer here.
Yeah.
Which would be really cool to see. Because we saw that Easter egg in episode 5. It would be cool to see it in real life.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, I loved the way they ended it. Like and it's like the thing that's crazy is like you don't know what's going to happen next. Like because the last time you see who I will not name, she stabs Kang. She stabs Kang, and then she just like slumps to the floor, and you see the multiverse. You see our timeline merging with the other multiverses in the cosmos.
Yes.
I guess is that even the cosmos technically? If you exist beyond space and time, I don't know. I don't care.
I don't know that.
Let's just call it the backdrop to the universe. That's what I'm going to call it.
I like that. The backdrop to the universe.
The backdrop to the universe. It's almost like you're watching a TV from the inside out. That's what That's where that place is. You know what I mean,
dude? Just like
instead of watching what's going on,
her being slumped over. Like I think she's like, oh, I finally got what I want, and then she realized it did nothing for her.
Because, dude, she's still a Loki. She's still destined to be alone, which she is after she kills Kang. And she's destined to lose. That's what they fucking do.
Dude.
He was the Loki that she sent back. What he was trying to do, he was literally letting himself lose.
Yeah.
Because he was like, what if he's not lying? And so he had, in that moment, decided, like, I'm not going to fulfill the journey I set out to fulfill when I wanted to destroy the TVA. So that's him letting himself lose, which is why he is Loki Prime.
Loki 2.0. Though he is my favorite Loki at this point.
Correct.
Yeah. Someone in the chat said we would have preferred this being a stepping stone for a Loki movie. I will have to personally disagree because I would rather see him, because this is like seeing 3 Loki movies. It's like 6 hours of Loki. Yes. I would rather see 6 hours of Loki over 2.5 or 3 hours of Loki any day of the week. Personally, I do think he's going to show up like they reported. He's likely to show up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I will love to see him still popping up in the universe. But as far as Loki, I would rather him have a series. I know I loved we talked about Black Widow, how much we loved it. I'm sure I'm gonna love Shang-Chi. I'm gonna love Eternals. No Way Home and Multiverse of Madness are probably gonna be the craziest fucking things we've ever seen in a superhero movie. We're like, oh,
I think No Way Home
crazy.
Is probably going to be. I think No Way Home is probably going to be the greatest. Like, it'll definitely be the best Spider-Man movie ever. Period. I think that goes without saying.
Yeah.
And I do. Now that we've seen more and more of the universe and what's coming next, I do think that Spider-Man movie, like, because we're all nerds. Like, no matter what we say, we love nostalgia. No matter what. No matter how bad the Sam Raimi trilogy might have been.
It's not bad. Don't even say that. It is not bad.
Oh, okay. Some people consider it bad.
Well, fuck them.
Hold on. I'm just saying, Sean. Regardless, even if you didn't like those movies, you're gonna be excited to see Tobey Maguire and Doc Ock again. You're going to. Period. I don't care what a new one says. Because we're nerds.
I agree.
And nerds rule the world.
They do. They do. And I kind of I don't know if I brought this up before. I just wanted to see how
you respond to that.
They do rule the world. You're right. I think I brought this up when they
our text the other day. How'd you respond to me saying that? So.
Oh my god, that was too much. I don't know if I brought this up on the episode 2 when they showed all the different Loki variants of how that set up how the different Peter Parkers, like just like we were talking about, would make sense. Because Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man it's just another variant of Peter Parker. Same with Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man. Or if we see Peter B. Parker from fucking Into the Spider-Verse or whatever, they explain that in this show, as well as the Multiverse of Madness happening. And these branches connecting, like you said, in the backdrop of the universe, which I love. And
yes,
I think that's how all these people are going to start bleeding over.
You can use that one. Yeah, you can use that one for free too, by the way, Sean.
I love that one. That one's good.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Yeah, I think it does make sense. I don't remember exactly which scene you're referencing in episode 2, but that doesn't matter.
It's the one where they're about to go to the Ren Fair, and Mobius is prepping the team, and they go like, oh, we've pruned a lot of these guys in the past, and they show all the different versions of Loki, where it was like one where he had
Oh,
horns, one
that's
where he's
right.
like a
Yes.
Hulk-ish, one where he was a
One.
bike
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
biceless
Yeah. You're
champion.
right.
He won the Tour de France.
Yes, I love that.
Fucking insane.
Yeah.
Insanity. So Joel, is there anything you want to add before we get on out of here?
I have a question for you, Sean.
Okay.
And it has nothing to do with multiverses, surprisingly.
Okay. That is surprising.
I have something I want to see happen eventually.
Okay.
So I want to know if you think this will ever happen.
Okay.
Do you think Loki will ever be powerful enough magically to summon the Bifrost on his own?
Ooh. That would be sick.
Because I know that Thor will always need a weapon. I'm assuming in Love and Thunder, he obviously gets back to Earth. I'm assuming the Guardians don't take him there because they're not. I can't believe the whole movie is just going to be Thor plus the Guardians. I think that would just be kind of madness, to be perfectly honest.
It's possible.
So it's possible. It's possible. I'm not denying that it's not possible. But he obviously, I think that somehow with Stormbreaker, maybe he figures out how to channel it because we know he could do it with Mjolnir. He's been able to.
Well, he can do it with Stormbreaker. He couldn't do it with Mjolnir.
Oh, sorry. So I did have that backwards. Okay, so he can do it, but he still needs the weapon.
Yes. Yep.
Will Loki ever be able to do it without the weapon?
Dude,
or
so tight.
Or think about this. What if Loki goes whenever he gets control of the timeline, which I'm sure he somehow will? What if he goes and gets Heimdall's sword?
Because he does say in Infinity War, and he's like, whatever, Almighty Allfathers, please let me use this 1 ounce of dark magic to summon the Bifrost or something. So it is like some form of sorcery or something. That would be tight. If he ended up doing that. Oh, one thing I did want to bring up.
Yeah.
When eventually Sylvie realizes she was fucking insanely wrong, and her and Loki get together, I can't wait for the scene. I think it'll be. I kind of hope it's in like a future Thor movie, like a Thor 5 if they ever do it, which would be crazy if they did a Thor 5. But they finally, or maybe it's like an Avengers movie or something, and they meet up and they have this like super heartfelt moment of the brothers reuniting, and then he has to explain that his girlfriend is just a version of himself. Thor. Think about it.
Yeah, but Thor, it's gonna be one of those like, of course she is. Because they have their fucking. My favorite part of everything they've done in the MCU is watching the Guardians bicker with each other and watching Thor and Loki go back and forth. Like they've done this perfect way to be humorous and tell stories at the same time and also make you love these characters. And like their shenanigans, I'm just gonna call them shenanigans between Loki and Thor, are like some of the best. And like I rewatched the first Avengers, and when he shows up and he just like it's like, I'm gonna knock out Captain America and Iron Man, brother. You're done being silly. We're going home. Like like this isn't a fucking mega level threat. No, it's just my brother being a jackass. Like that. Just the fact that that's how aloof Thor always is with Loki. Like I am excited for that scenario that you're talking about. Like, oh, Loki, or maybe we never meet Sylvie in the mainstream. Maybe my eventual theory, Sean, is they're gonna see how evil Kang is to become He Who Remains. I do think that Sylvie is either going to be the Enchantress or she becomes She Who Remains. I do think we might have actually hit the nail on the head with that idea, and like we did that. I think somebody mentioned it somewhere, and we brought it up on the show. I could see her being She Who Remains because she understands that. I think we will find out the Lokis are Nexus beings, this, that, and the other thing.
I honestly think that this is like a way bigger conversation than warranted on the end of this podcast, but a lot of people are buzzing that this is leading to Secret Wars, which I do firmly believe that they are planting the seeds for Secret Wars to happen. It's like the next end game in about a decade or not. And it could be Kang to be the leader of it rather than Doom, although I would like to see Doom be God Doom, in my opinion. But I'd be fine with whatever they do. I'm in, especially because the Russo brothers said that's what they would come back for Secret Wars. So who better to culminate another saga other than the Russo brothers? But
well, I mean, they could do. It comes down to like 8 Kangs, and then all the Kangs pull a section of their multiverse, and they make the Secret Wars planet, and that's how everyone ends up fighting each other.
Well, yeah, because the Secret Wars thing is it's all of the multiverses collapsing into each other, and then they wind up in this battle world planet that's fully fucked up. And the I don't think they won't do the ending the same, but nothing gets undone. A ton of people fucking die in the beginning scenes. Like Reed Richards figures out the ship that can travel through it, and he gets through it with like a handful of people, legit a handful. And Doctor Strange's right hand man, or I mean, Doom's right hand man is Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is like his ward, or like the knight of, or the hand of the king, basically. So Doom has fucking Galactus as he has Galactus as a guard dog for his castle, and then has fucking Doctor Strange at the fucking right hand of his throne. Like, it's fucking wild. But that's how they can easily get out of this the multiverse saga, is that all the multiverses eventually, there is a multiversal war and they all crash into each other, and then we end with a prime universe, a prime timeline.
Which would make sense. And I mean, DC's done this multiple times too. So Crisis, I could see it working. I could see it working. The other thing I've been, from all my reading about all this saga, is like, I'm really curious to see how they're going to tell these stories once we finally get the Fantastic Four, because I didn't realize throughout time it's not even Reed that chases his own son. Like, I never have really put it together how powerful Human Torch is.
Yeah.
And on like the cosmic scales, from everything I've been reading, he's like up there. Like, he's one of the most powerful like Earth-based beings.
Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah.
And he can fucking fly through space and shit and all this shit that I forgot about, like,
he's crazy.
And so I think we still don't even have fucking Nova. Like, we're getting really off subject now, but like, there's so many of these huge cosmic entities. Like, there's still the giant Adam Warlock question mark.
Oh, Guardians Volume 3. I think both of them are coming in. Nova and Adam Warlock.
I think Nova might be the one who helps them fight Adam Warlock.
Very possible. Very possible.
That's kind of what I've been thinking, is like, because the Guardians can't handle Adam on their own. That's a given. We know this.
But Thor might be with them too. Also
fair. And we also know that there's a good chance Dave Bautista might not be back for Guardians 3.
Well, no, he said that was his last one.
Oh, he is? Okay. So that's what he said. Okay.
Yeah. Mostly because, which in the best way possible, is that he said he's too old and can't fucking keep his body in the physical condition to look like Drax anymore, which big ups to Big Dave. That's all I gotta
respect that. Yeah. Dude, Big Dave, he walks alone through a pit of danger. That's all I have to say, dude.
Damn fucking right he does.
If you've ever listened to Godsmack, every song they've ever written has been about Big Dave. So anyways, terrible joke, sorry Sean, but I had to go there. So I mean, with him departing, we're gonna need another space member of the team, and Nova kind of makes sense, because whoever is Captain America at that point in time is going to be off doing, Captain Marvel is going to be off doing her own bullshit,
Yeah, likely. We will see in Captain Marvel 2 next year.
Do you think we're going to get her in Secret Invasion?
Possibly.
Like, I feel like she would be involved.
I don't know what's coming first, Secret Invasion, or they haven't announced the date of that. I believe they have announced the date of the Marvels, but with Monica Rambeau being involved in presumably both, I would imagine she probably is. But
I'm waiting for like a Rambeau, like, fucking seeing her and Fury together, because the end of WandaVision is
it's gonna be awesome.
We see her being summoned to Fury.
Yep.
Like, that's obviously where she's going,
Oh yeah.
So, but like, when they're like, whenever like Sword or whatever Fury calls it actually launches, is going to be fucking awesome, dude.
Oh yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait. And then I don't know, man. Do you think we're going to get Hawkeye and White Vision doing the West Coast Avengers? So we're going to have West Coast Avengers, Young Avengers, and Sword. Do you think we're actually going to get 3 teams at once?
It's possible.
Or do you think that's too much?
I do think this is going to be. I've said it a couple times before throughout the show that I do think this is like the era of teams. Like we'll get a new. We'll have like a new version of Guardians. We'll get the Young Avengers, Thunderbolts, maybe New Avengers or West Coast Avengers. More so, just like a new team of Avengers, which I think is coming. Probably led by Sam Wilson's Captain America. I would assume. We might get like Midnight Suns with Blade coming and Moon Knight and eventually Ghost Rider.
I was gonna say that's like the one where it's all the mystical characters, right?
Yeah, I believe Doctor Strange is in an iteration as well, which makes sense too. We could get Doctor a version of the Illuminati maybe eventually after Namor was introduced and Reed Richards,
and Professor X.
Yeah. Except I don't know who's gonna replace Iron Man and T'Challa, but we can cross that bridge when we get there.
I mean, Shuri could do T'Challa. Replacing Iron Man would have to be like either Fury or maybe his daughter. I don't know if we're ever going to get Morgan Stark as.
I don't think so.
I don't think we're going to go that route. I think there's too much of a gap in the storytelling,
especially when we're already getting Ironheart, and we'll likely get Iron Lad too. I feel like we'll have enough Iron.
Well, and War Machine ain't going anywhere. Yeah,
that's you. I just don't think War Machine can fill the Illuminati role. No offense to War Machine, but
no, he can't.
He's
I'm
not.
Just saying in general.
He's not
right.
there.
There's too many armored people. Like
yeah.
Which, by the way, I am excited for Armor Wars, as you and I have discussed off the show. I love that, dude.
I love Don Cheadle. So apparently he's the villain of the new Space Jam movie, which I might watch. Maybe
I actually will not. I will not watch that movie.
Fair.
Just
I honestly don't care about it, but I think it'll be fun. Like fun enough where I watch it and I'm like, I didn't hate that I watched that.
A lot of people don't realize that I was raised on sports.
I was too, actually. Oddly enough.
I played sports when I was younger, and LeBron James is a fucking piece of shit. He is not a good sportsman. I don't care how good he is at the sport. The things that come out of his mouth are unacceptable. The way he talks about the greats before him is unacceptable. And
I agree.
He's the highest paid fucking sports person, I believe, on the fucking planet, if not the highest one of. And he literally just does huge disservices to the game, the way it's played, the people that came before him. So I will not be seeing Space Jam. He can fucking rot.
I have such a weird. I mean, we've gone off the Kang train entirely, which I don't care. This is the end of the show. It's fine. This is a pop culture podcast. Yes. We're talking about pop culture, but I know you guys will listen anyway. Well, the people who listen, my loyal, I guess, loyal listeners who tell me about the show. Also, before I get into that, please,
fucking Metalcore Army.
Yes, the Metalcore Army. Please let me know if you like this new format. I would definitely like to know that. But I have a weird relationship because I agree with you in I don't like him as a basketball player. Obviously, he's a very good basketball player. I just hate that he keeps getting compared to Michael Jordan because to me there is no fucking comparison ever. I wouldn't even compare. I wouldn't even compare him to Kobe Bryant.
No,
he's not even on that level to me. So that's just my opinion. It's not like I've watched basketball in fucking a decade or anything. So it's not like I know shit anyway. Right. But he does a lot for people outside the game. Like he has his own production company. He does a lot for charity and stuff like that.
Oh, so it's I'm aware.
So it's like that side I respect, but the basketball side, I'm like, nah. I'm like exactly with you with all the shit you said. Completely agree.
Well, my mom is the same way too. So like anybody that's watched sports news in the last month knows that like Charles Barkley and all the analysts got ripped up because basically one of them pretty much just said, fuck LeBron James, basically. And it's been this giant story because LeBron went to celebrate the launch of a tequila that he's a partial investor in. He's the only person in the playoff circle that willingly went and broke the bubble rules that the NBA has been operating under.
Yeah,
and when he was caught about it, he was like, what are they going to do? Tell me I can't play basketball? And LeBron James. Like, dude, fuck off, dude. Yeah, like, it has nothing to do with basketball or money or like, this is like COVID in people's lives and shit. Like, you want to sit there and be on your high horse about every other thing. And then when it comes to your money, say that the rules don't matter to you. You're literally being the person you speak out against. That's what he did. I'm sorry.
That's
so it's like,
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah. And it sucks that the NBA doesn't have the balls to tell him to go eat one. You know what I mean?
The players have more
they
power
let him get away with it. Probably didn't even.
which is wild.
It's not even
crazy.
That's we could do a whole episode about that. Yeah, we could do a whole episode about that nonsense. But yeah. Well, I'm glad that you and your mom and I are on the same page, Sean.
Oh, we are. I told her about Space Jam. She's like, "Fuck LeBron James." Pretty much is what she said.
Dude, I need to meet Mama Mott, dude. That
you
just makes her my favorite person.
You do. She's dude, like
I do.
She's like a nicer version of me. Pretty much. She's so nice. It's insane. She's probably the nicest person I've ever met in my life. My mom.
You're kind of blowing my mind right now, Sean.
Sam would kind of say the same thing. She'd be like, she's like a more laid back, chill, nicer version of Sean. Which I know is hard to...
On a scale of 1 to what? Go ahead.
Which I know it's kind of hard because I kind of try to stay mostly laid back and chill and nice.
Yeah.
But she is nicer than me.
Like on a scale of 1 to what the fuck did you just say? I'm definitely in the what the fuck did you just say like number range, just so you know.
Fair. It's fair.
Everybody that's still watching or listening, I'm so sorry. We're not even in the Kang universe right now.
Nah, dude, we're in the backdrop of the universe floating around trying to arm wrestle or something.
We are. We're one of the things Dr. Strange saw that freaked him out, you know? It was just Sean and I strapped into chairs, like me having these animated heart eyes floating at Sean and Sean just laughing and shaking his head at me.
Yeah, no.
Dr. Strange is like, who the fuck are these two jabronis podcasting in the backdrop of the universe? You know what I mean?
It's just us. Like, just chilling, dude. Living life.
That means, you know, you and I aren't worldwide, dude. Now we're multiversal, dude.
We are. This podcast is now multiversal.
I cannot wait to tell Calvin that. He's going to be so mad at me, dude.
Isn't he? When is he not mad at you? It's the real
question. That's a very good question. That's a very good question. Ever since I made that fucking Pitbull joke, he's been real pissed at me, dude.
That shit was so good. It was so good.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Oh yeah,
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Hilarious.
Anyways, everybody, I will say,
Joel, thank you for doing this after show with me.
Dude, thank you. Sean, you knew that Loki was the one I was the most excited for, so I appreciate it. I will say, I don't think you have any other friends more excited for Armor Wars than me. So if you need me back, let me know. I would love to do that. Maybe we can just like an overall recap instead of episode by episode.
We'll see. It depends how these go. I've been liking doing the episode by episode. I've been enjoying them for these.
Then do it, dude. But yeah, I mean, dude, War Machine was the only character I ever chose in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. It was always it was always him and Mega Man and Wolverine. That was my fucking squad. And if you don't like it, just fuck right off.
That's a squad.
You know what I mean? Dude, it was a squad, right? So, you know, damn, now I want to play that game. Damn my life. Anyways, always chose War Machine. He's always like my favorite, like sidekick, auxiliary hero, secondary hero, B squad, whatever you want to call it, you know, growing up as a kid. So I'm so stoked for Armor Wars.
Hell yeah. That's what's up.
What's next? What If is next, right?
What If's in August, then Shang-Chi is in September, and then Miss Marvel and Hawkeye are sometime this year. They haven't announced dates yet. And then Eternals November, Spider-Man December. Also, Venom, Let There Be Carnage is in September, which Kevin Feige pretty much said that they're going to intersect. And after the events of this show, it
makes a lot of sense.
I fully believe that even if it was on a separate universe before, I feel like all bets are off. Especially with that fucking Morbius trailer having fucking Adrian Toomes in it. I think all bets are fucking off.
I'm just curious what they're going to do to intersect Venom. Like, who's going to show up when he's fighting Carnage and help? That's my question.
I don't think anyone will help him in this movie. I think it'll come later. I think Morbius might be the one that we see and intersect first, maybe.
Okay. I don't know anything about that character on the comic wise. I don't know. That's Morbius is the character where my Spider-Man knowledge stops.
He's a living vampire. He's kind of like Blade.
But he's not a good guy, though, right?
No.
No.
I mean, he's kind of like an anti-hero, like a lot of Spider-Man characters ended up being, but he is kind of a bad guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm fucking excited for Blade.
Him taking out motherfuckers, so.
Right.
But awesome.
Yeah,
again, thank you everyone for watching, or if you're listening on the podcast feed or rewatching on YouTube, thank you for ingesting my nerd podcast. I appreciate you all. And until next week, when we talk about Black Widow, spoiler filled, we're going to talk about it all with a brand new panel. Again, I thank Joel for being my co-host for this after show, and going to leave this off how we started this motherfucker for all time.
No, you're not. Always. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Joel Cupcake. Thank you for joining us in the backdrop of the multiverse/universe. I have been your co-host, Joel Cupcake. This has been a Loki, spoiler-filled review, episode by episode, with my good friend, my best friend, and my lover, Sean Mott. Everyone, please follow Metalcore Nerds. Join the amazing Facebook group. You can find Sean Mott at Sean X Mott on all social media platforms. Metalcore Nerds is actually also on all social media platforms. I am Joel Cupcake. You can just Google me and all my properties show up. I'll see you somewhere in space, baby.
See you in space, motherfuckers. Peace out.